I think it's the most important things about this experience are really centered around details, around contracts, around metrics, and around giving yourself a chance to think about every possible opportunity and not being beholden to what you came in with, what you did last week, last year, last decade. I think that that's a big issue that a lot of organizations have had to get themselves out from under. But ironically, there's even web companies that have been around for a couple years that are facing similar issues to what those companies had faced. So being able to be as flexible as possible given the resources and the situation you have, but not being afraid to sometimes putting all of that aside and move forward in a drastic manner that makes the most sense for the future. I was selling candy in elementary school and for a markup, and I kind of came into journalism after I had been a salesman. So I always treated my journalism as a sales pitch. I used to cover high school sports, and you have maybe 10 inches to write a story, and you need to explain when you're working for the Washington Post high school sports why you went to that high school and not one of the 250 other ones in the region, because parents and schools get jealous. So that was a pressure. So I don't know if I'm necessarily the best person to ask on this because I've always sort of come from that angle. And I also have always been pretty optimistic and thinking yes first until I'm told no. And then I still am kind of wondering if I still can do it. So that's generally the take I've had. There's a lot of perspective that I didn't have coming here, and I think I probably use my social networks as much or more than anybody. It's an amazing thing when you start a new job and you're asked to learn about things very quickly. The power of a LinkedIn where you can send an email to 200 people and say, hey, what's your content management experience? Content management system experience, and how would you recommend proceeding? And you get great answers like blow it all up and start from scratch. And then a lot of people who treat it like complaining about the airlines, and you end up with a 20-page report in a day. These things are possible everywhere, and this is no different. And I'm really grateful to even the people I already knew when I came here. I got to see them in a different light. I got to hear their take on what I'm doing, and so these are very valuable things that I'll take back with me. So I was waiting outside for a movie a couple weeks ago, and I watched the guy walk by with a T-shirt that said "Save a journalist, buy a newspaper," and I pulled out my phone and I tweeted, "Save a journalist, teach him a scripting language," because it's not that complicated to do very basic beginner things that have a major impact on people's lives and on what you're trying to communicate. So I get a little frustrated when I see people convince themselves they can't before they even know what it is that they don't think they can do. So that would be the big thing I would say to most journalists that are looking to make the transition. My school newspaper had the sports editor right before me was born on the same day as me, and he went the newspaper route, and I went the online route pretty early on. So I've had some opportunities to compare the two, and I'm happy with the choice I made, but I still don't think it's too late for other people to come over to what's not the dark side. One of the great things from a business perspective that I gained from this might not necessarily be characterized as a business lesson, because I think it transfers to everything. But Tom was talking about it, don't go on what you believe, go on what you know, because you can't sell what you believe to a potential investor. And that's something that I'm really trying to reinforce as I'm preparing to talk to 4 people with very critical questions about a harebrained scheme I have in a PowerPoint presentation.